What do you make of Russia shelling one of the largest nuclear plants in Europe? I understand it's non-operational right now, but it still has nuclear fuel.
That's correct. It is, in fact, the largest nuclear facility in Europe. And it's breaking news, obviously. But from my understanding, the good news on that score is it is not an RBMK reactor, which was the type of reactor that was at Chernobyl. So it is a little bit more stable of a reactor. I understand that its graphite is used as a moderator for the RBMK reactors, whereas on this one, it's water. But I think it's very disconcerting news. In fact, I was supposed to travel to Europe next week, and I'm concerned now that there might be some sort of radiological disaster occurring there at the moment. And I'm hopeful that both sides can come to their senses and come to a ceasefire, at least in that region, which is the southeastern region of Ukraine, close to the Donetsk and Luhansk regions.
World leaders, including President Biden, continue to add sanctions against Russia. Do you think they're working, or is it too soon to tell?
I think they are working, although it is early, of course, in the sanction regime. However, there are already indications that the Russian government and especially the Russian people are feeling the duress. We have friends that we've spoken to in Moscow, and they've been telling us of problems of getting cash out of the banks, large surcharges every time they use a credit card. Gazprom, which is listed on the London Stock Exchange, lost 97% of its value. It was worth $47 billion in market capitalization last week. This week, it's worth roughly $250 million. Furthermore, Boeing has announced that once the leases on all of its airplanes in Russia are up, it's going to ask for the airplanes back. Tankers, which would pick up Russian oil, are starting to decide not to go to Russia because they can't get insured if they go there. So the sanctions are working now, and in the longer run, they're going to get even harsher for the people in Russia.
Today, French President Emmanuel Macron held a lengthy meeting with Vladimir Putin, and he says the worst is yet to come. What do you make of that?
I think that in some respects, what we've been seeing in terms of the success of the Ukrainians in defying the Russians and battling them back is probably going to be fleeting. I think eventually the Russians are going to start to bring more and more power to bear. And we've already started to see that with the shelling of the cities. So I think Macron was probably referring to that. In my own mind, my big concern is that Russians might start launching heavier cyber attacks on not just Western Europe, but also on North America as we step up our aid towards Ukraine.
Jody, Ukraine isn't a part of NATO, so troops likely will not be going into that country. But how likely is it that Putin will stop with Ukraine? Or do you see him going after other former Soviet countries that are now members of NATO? What's the end game, do you think, for him?
Well, I think it's hard to tell what Vladimir Putin's thinking, what he's going to do. I think for now he's looking at Ukraine as his primary goal. I would think that if he were successful in taking Ukraine, our next biggest perhaps point of weakness for NATO and for the United States would be something known as the Suwalki Gap, which is a territory between Poland and the Baltic republics who are in NATO, which links them together. But on the other side of them, on the Baltic Sea, is an independent piece of Russian territory called Kaliningrad. And we could see a mirror of what happened in 1939 with the so-called Danzig corridor, when the German state of East Prussia was separated from the German main area, and Hitler used that as a pretext to unite them together. So that would be I would think would be the next biggest target. Whether or not that's in the mindset of the Russian leadership, I can't say for sure, but I think for now, I think Ukraine is the primary goal, and he's looking not just at the eastern portion of Ukraine. I think he's looking to take over the entire country and install a puppet regime.